Good evening once again and welcome back to Nine's continuing coverage of the 2020 Northern Territory election. If you're just joining us, here is the state of play as it is right now. We're willing to call Labor has won 5 seats at the election, the Country Liberal Party 2. At the moment, it is 0 for the Territory Alliance Party. The magical number we're trying to get to is 13 seats, and you will govern in your own right. I want to bring in now my good friend Charles Croucher. Charles, welcome back. Let's have a look at the seat of Goyder. Now, when I was doing my research before this, everyone told me that this is just a simple win for Kezia Purik. It might not be the case. It's a busy one.
Yeah, the laydown was there for Kezia Purik that it's been for so long. Perhaps not this time. Kezia Purik, we know, has been full of controversy, particularly with some of the ICAC findings that cost her the speakership, given the involvement with Territory Alliance. That 14% to Rachel Wright, we know there's no love lost between Territory Alliance and Kezia, so that may flow through to the CLP. It's not one they would have penciled in, but it's one they would love to have tonight if they can get over the line. It's a really fascinating seat. A 25% swing against Kezia Purik there. That means 1 in 4 people voted for her last time and haven't this time around. If that trend continues, it's significant.
It is indeed. Let's take a look at the seat of Karama. Nariar Kit is the sitting member for the Labor Party. I was expecting, I have to admit, that Brian O'Gallagher might have polled a little better than this.
Yeah, he's a good candidate. Was in Deputy CEO of the Chamber of Commerce, well known. Look, this is probably an old Labor seat. It's Delia Laurie's old seat, and she had it for so long. But then her involvement with Territory Alliance was really looking to try and boost up Caleb Cardno, who's down there on the screen. You can see his result is perhaps a little disappointing as well. Nariar Kit, if she holds this, would be a really good hold, a really strong hold for Michael Gunner and his team, and the kind that can afford them a little room to move later on down the path.
OK, Charles, now some of the seats that we are ready to call. Let's start off with Daly.
Yeah, Daly is pick up for the CLP, or a seat for the CLP that they have had in the past. We know it's one of just 2 they held last time. It will stay in their column. Ian Sloan's done a good enough job there. He is seeing quite decent numbers. He will join the parliament and join Leah Finocchiaro's team and what could be a government if things continue to go everything now. It continues to go right for the CLP.
You mentioned Leah Finocchiaro. She's done a great job, regardless of the outcome today, to take the CLP from where it was 4 years ago into what they are today. Even contending, I think, is a credit to her. Let's take a look at her seat in Spillett.
Yeah, right. Well, CLP is back where they were last election. They have 2 seats. They ended up with 3 notionally. We'll get to Namatjira perhaps later on tonight. Spillett, that is enough for Leah Finocchiaro. It is a small swing against her. Look, that could just be a recorrecting. It could be the fact that she's the leader now. You have to be public. You have to be out and about. It's a good win for her. She'll retain the leadership of the CLP. And given she's the only person in the CLP with parliamentary experience in the parliament, that will be a crucial role for them as well.
Now, you mentioned Namatjira, so let's take a look at that seat. It's a seat left vacant by Chancey Paik, who's decided to contest Wodja instead. Speak us through the numbers.
Yeah, some really fascinating results there. The ALP and Territory Alliance fighting for second. Look how close it is across the board there. Now, only 13% counted. That green vote, how does the preference flow, and how does Territory Alliance factor? How do they flow? What we have seen, and perhaps what is the most surprising part of tonight, is they're not really factoring in winning seats. However, they are factoring in the individual seats. Look, it's more than likely now that Terry Mills won't retain his seat. He's the leader. But what's going to happen is we're going to see little influences like this one here. If you can fight into second, then perhaps the preferences when they flow can get you over the line. Namatjira is one we're going to be watching throughout the night, indeed well into the night. The comparison best made at the moment for what Territory Alliance is doing is what Nick Xenophon did down in South Australia. A big impact on the election, not on the parliament. They are different things.
OK, you mentioned one leader there. Let's look at another leader in the Chief Minister in Michael Gunner in Fanny Bay. He looks OK.
He looks okay, 47% of the primary vote. That is a slight swing to him. You see how well Peter Robertson's doing there for the Greens. You expect some of Rebecca Jennings' votes will go to him as well. Tracy Hayes is a great candidate and one that early on in the election, and in fact a couple of months ago, I'm sure Michael Gunner's team would have looked at and thought that's going to cause us a lot of trouble throughout. Then COVID hit, then the entire world, and indeed the entire election changed, and that's enough for Michael Gunner to probably, and what we're saying, get over the line tonight. Hell of a 4 years for him.
That's right. When you look at those, sorry to interrupt, when you look at those green numbers, the preferences there will go to Michael. I think he's fine.
You'd think so. It's swinging left. That'll swing behind him. That 4 years we're talking about, you know, he won the election, he got married, he had a baby, he had a heart attack, and he had a pandemic as well, and now he's got his seat back. So good areas, as he would say.
OK, let's head out to Cullen Bay now, and reporter Elle Conway is there for us at the CLP headquarters. Elle, 4 years ago, as I mentioned, it was annihilation for the CLP. We certainly expect an improvement tonight, but I guess we're all wondering by how much. Are they planning a celebration?
Good evening, Jono. Yes, it's still very early days, and just in front of me here there is a big, the start of a party going on. We've got people trickling in. There's plenty of food and cold beers being cracked. There have been a few cheers just as I've been listening to the conversations just now, so as soon as we get off we'll find out what those are. Candidates are still coming in. We've seen Toby George, who's running for Port Darwin. We've also seen Brian Gallagher, who you just mentioned earlier. We are still waiting to see the leader of the opposition, Leah Finocchiaro, and of course high-profile candidate Tracy Hayes. We're still awaiting their arrival. We've just heard from the President here as well, though, who is very, very confident. They're very positive. They do believe that they do have a chance at quite a lot more seats this time around.
OK, Elle, we'll leave it there. Thanks for the update. I want to take you now live to Labor HQ and Kathleen Gazzola, who's been joined by Natasha Files. Obviously, oh, come on, Natasha, give us a smile because you've done really well there in Nightcliff.
Give us a smile. Natasha, you did very well in Nightcliff. Obviously walked in through the door to huge cheers and a bit of emotion coming through. I noticed a few tears coming through.
It's an absolute privilege to be re-elected. It's a real honour to represent your community. I love that community. It's where I'm raising my family, and people know my history and association with it. So I try my hardest every single day and to be recognised. Obviously just early numbers through, so we'll see as the pre-poll comes through, but really pleased to be elected again as a member for Nightcliff.
I mean, you've obviously had to deal a lot with coronavirus, being Health Minister. The Chief Minister this morning said the last 6 months have really been something. How's it been for you?
I think that's it. You know, 2 small children. I've been chairing Health COAG, the Health Minister, representing, a wonderful community that has really listened around coronavirus, and but our clinicians particularly, to hear their stories and the amount of time and effort. And even today on the polling booth was an opportunity to catch up with people, and those clinicians have worked so hard to keep us safe. So I think it's just recognising all of that, and clearly the coronavirus pandemic is not over, so that will continue, but just a moment to be really proud to represent our community.
And how are you feeling as a Labor Party in general, talking to people that are associated with the party?
Tonight, obviously, the way the territory elections flow with small booths, and the results are starting to flow through, but it shows that Territorians want a strong, united team, and that's what we've delivered over the last 4 years. And there's been difficult times in government, and we've worked together, and that's been recognised tonight, I believe.
The Chief Minister ruled out any kind of deals if there is a minority situation. Do you support that idea, given that you've talked about stability just there and seeing we are still in a public emergency?
So yes, I think that Territorians want stability in their government, and that's what we've given them, and they've given us the privilege in a number of seats already, and the results will continue to flow through tonight. So early days, as we all know, such small electorates, but I'm really excited to be representing my community once again.
And so what are you going to do? You're going to head to the bar now and have a quick drink in celebration?
I think that it's been a very tiring time, and just to be here with family and friends, and that's just to catch up with everyone and share stories. Election campaigns, it's been a hectic time and it's been an unusual election, but it'll be great to catch up with people.
Thank you for joining us, Natasha. Obviously a fair bit of relief there for the Health Minister, who has not only had to deal with an election campaign but also coronavirus.
OK, Kathleen, thank you very much. One thing that the Labor Party might not be overly happy, though, is what is shaping up in Mulka. Of course, they were very confident of taking this seat back from the independent member in Yinyamargoyla. Charles Croucher, I'll bring you back in. I mentioned before that these numbers seem to be going up and down like a yo-yo. And as since we last spoke, Ying has come back.
Yeah, and a real lead there now. By my count, I think it's around a 400 vote lead. Giving the margin was 8 votes last time. That's a significant lead to Yinyamargoyla, almost enough that would see him across the line. Look, it's a big seat. It's one of those ones that can fluctuate, so it's obviously way too early to call, but that's one Labor would have liked. They would have liked to send Lynn Walker back in their caucus. Yinyamargoyla may have a very big role to play in this next parliament.
OK, Charles, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for your expert advice and commentary, as always. You're watching Territory Election 2020. We'll be back with more in just a moment.